Thanks for watching the John Mendola Show. We are driven by McCarthy Tire and Automotive Centers. As we get to this first weekend here of October 2013, let's get to this week's football picks. Well, the Berwick Bulldogs come off a win against Selinsgrove. They did get a few injuries during that football game. In the meantime, Tunkhannock will be at home, but they're going to get a Berwick Bulldog football team that's pretty darn good in AAA in District 2. I'll take Berwick this week over Tunkhannock on the road. Dunmore at Honesdale. Well, Dunmore put up 34 first-quarter points, and Honesdale fought awfully tough with the Carbondale team that's pretty good this year. Dunmore has to travel to Honesdale, but I think the Bucks get the job done and improve their record to 6-0. Let's move along. West Scranton and Scranton, the Battle of the Bell. Well, West Side went to Delaware Valley, and Delaware Valley dominated. In the meantime, Scranton and Jake McCarthy got the job done against Valley View at home. I expect more of that. I think it's going to be a good football game. West Scranton should be up for this game, and I'm going to take the Scrantonites over West Scranton this week. Let's move along. North Pocono and Delaware Valley. Well, North Pocono trying to play some improved football. Scranton Prep team last week, that's a pretty dominant team. In the meantime, Delaware Valley dominated at home. I think Delaware Valley gets the job done once again here in Week 6. Let's move along between Myers and Hanover area. Myers comes off a tough loss to Lake Lehman. In the meantime, Hanover area, they go down and they get the win at home at their own stadium and feel good about it against Northwest area. A sophomore quarterback doing a good job. This should be a pretty competitive ball game, but I'm going to take the Myers Mohawks to improve their record to 3-3. Let's move along. Old Forge and Montrose. Well, this is a lopsided affair on paper. And Brandon Scavage, 4 touchdowns last week, had about 175 yards. I think Scavage and Old Forge continued to pound it. How about Shane Schuback? 2 carries and 75 yards last week. Old Forge over Montrose. Williamsport and Coughlin. Coughlin comes off a loss to Wyoming Valley West. Williamsport gets a victory against Dallas. This game has long been a traditional battle between these two, the Millionaires and the Crusaders. I'm going to take the Coughlin Crusaders at home in what should be a good ball game here in week number 6. GAR and Lake Lehman. GAR gets their first victory of the week last weekend against Holy Redeemer on a Saturday. In the meantime, Lake Lehman played on the carpet. This time, GAR has to go to the black turf up there in Knight Country with Coach Jerry Gilski. I think Lake Lehman has too many weapons, and the Black Knights win Week 6. Northwest area and Nanticoke. The Rangers coming off their first loss of the year. They are now 4-1. In the meantime, Nanticoke gets a huge victory against Wyoming area. I'm going to take Nanticoke in a squeaker here over Northwest area this week. Let's move along. Western Wayne and Riverside. Riverside struggled last week against Old Forge. Western Wayne gets a victory against Montrose. This is a toss-up. I'm going to take Riverside and Evan Prawl over Western Wayne. Stroudsburg and Wyoming Valley West. 2 shutouts for Stroudsburg in the last 2 games and commanding victories. They play great defense. Coming off that loss to East Stroudsburg South and Wyoming Valley West, a big win against Coughlin. This is probably the best football game of the week. I'm going to take Wyoming Valley West, and I think this will be very, very tight between these two. Stroudsburg will show up and play well in Kingston. Moving along, Holy Redeemer and Wyoming area. Redeemer comes off a loss. Wyoming area comes off of their first loss against Nanticoke in quite some time. I'm going to take the Warriors of Wyoming area because they're playing at home. Move along here to Scranton Prep and Wallapapack, a AAA affair. Scranton Prep seems to be rolling. Wallapapack coming off a big loss to Abington Heights. Scranton Prep victorious in week number 6. Mid-Valley takes on Lakeland. Mid-Valley comes off a win against Lackawanna Trail, a team that they've really done well against the last several times. In the meantime, Lakeland comes off a big loss against Susquehanna. A lot of parity this year. You don't know who's going to win week in after week. And I'm going to go Mid-Valley this week against Lakeland. Although, again, one of those games that you think could go either way. Let's move along. Lackawanna Trail and Carbondale. The Lions coming off their first loss of the year. They got to lick their wounds. Carbondale playing good football. And again, our hearts go out to the Gabriel family. A tragic loss of their grandfather, a close-knit family up there to do a great job in the community. And Larry Gabriel III and his family going through some tough times. And again, our thoughts and prayers with that family. Carbondale gets the win this week. Let's move along. Dallas and Pittston area. Dallas doesn't have a win. Pittston has 1 win. We're playing in Patriot Country. Dallas comes off a defeat against Williamsport. Pittston area got beat up pretty good against Crestwood. This is definitely a toss-up. I'm going to take Pittston area in a squeaker this week against Dallas. Valley View and Abington Heights, a Saturday afternoon affair. Abington Heights playing some great football. Valley View comes off a tough loss to Scranton. J.C. Shao, 4 touchdown passes last week. I'll take J.C. Shao and Abington Heights this weekend on Saturday afternoon at the Pit in Clark Summit. Hazleton area and Crestwood, a Saturday night affair. Crestwood coming off a huge victory. Hazleton builds with 2 wins. Coach Jim Drumheller excited about his running game and what the kids have done. They're believing in themselves, but I think the Crestwood Comets have a little too much this week for the small trip for Hazleton area just down Route 309. And the final game of the weekend, Susquehanna at Holy Cross. How about the Sabres and Coach Cook getting a victory at home against Lakeland? Meantime, Holy Cross struggled against Dunmore. I'll take Susquehanna over Holy Cross for this week's football picks. Well, we appreciate you watching here on the John Mendola Show, driven by McCarthy Tire and Automotive Centers.